All right, Moto Dad Podcast. This is episode 5, but a little bit different format for this. This is something that I've been wanting to try for a little while. A little bit more current event style interview. There's all kinds of cool stuff that happens in amateur motocross, all kinds of cool stuff that's happening out there with moto dads and moto families that really, it'd be cool to talk about in real time. And we're lucky enough this week to be able to do that. Moto Dad Podcast, my first guest is Kyle McCoy. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm going to turn this up a little bit there. Okay. Kyle, you got a beer, right?
I do. We're open and good.
Well, now mine's open and good.
Well, good. Congratulations.
Kyle, congratulations to you. Man, you're coming off a KTM Junior Challenge win. I mean, you must be on cloud 9 right now. Social media is blowing up, I'm sure.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of videos and people about the dance and all that. It's been a little crazy, but it's been fun. It's something he's always wanted to do. His older brother got second actually in Glendale 3 years ago, so he had to win to beat Big Brother, and he was pretty determined to do it.
That's a cool story. And he got second, so obviously there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder there. He wants to go out and win.
For 3 years, his trophy sat on our mantle and said second place. And the little one, I mean, when my oldest son did it, Gavin, he hardly rode. I mean, he went to the local track with us, and he putted around and stuff, but he wasn't super big into racing.
Yeah.
And he always looked at that trophy and was like, I'm gonna win when I go. So it's been a fun family thing for forever, and then it kind of got serious once he got accepted into the challenge, and he went out there and got the job done.
Now Gavin is a hell of a rider. I gotta say, I have been in staging with you guys. My boy got to race against him at Minios. And I even took my boy to the podium when you guys were celebrating, because you guys got the e-bike championship, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so we were at the podium when you guys took the award. My son had a rough week. We made one main event. He made his PW main event, and we went to every podium to watch every podium celebration, just because it was cool. It was part of the fun, So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially with the little kids. It's it's easy to get caught up in, but it's a lot of fun.
Now I gotta ask. I went back. I did my homework. There's a photo of you at Loretta's on is it a YZ125?
Oh yeah.
Are you still fast?
I wouldn't say fast. No. I have a 450 currently. Around here in Missouri, I grew up racing with Greg Albertson and Jimmy Albertson. And,
yeah.
We were good. Jimmy and Greg went on to do it a lot more. And I went to Loretta's in 2002. Kind of discovered really quickly that I probably better get a job. And so I had a lot of fun with it. And I still have a bike to ride with my kids. And it was kind of heartbreaking. It was actually about a month ago. We were out at Rainer Training Complex, and I was riding with both my kids, and I couldn't catch them.
Oh.
So it was like the first time that I was riding with them, and I could not. I mean, I was trying to, and I could not catch them. I over and acted like I had a flat tire, and then I had arm pump, and did all that stuff, but they weren't buying it. They knew.
What emotion do you feel at that time? Are you that bummed that you maybe have slowed down, or are you that excited that your kids have gotten to that level?
Well, where we were at, there was actually a bunch of kids. There's a kid, Maverick Gish and Caden Dundee, and a lot of kids that train at this place that we train at. And my kids are some of the younger, slower ones at this facility. And I actually got to ride on the track with all the kids, and I was actually being beat very badly. But it was humbling at the same time, because it was, I realized, I mean, that the Dundee kid rides for Team Green, and Maverick Gish is absolutely no joke. And they passed me on 85s, even in straightaways, and I'm just like, these kids are so talented.
Yeah.
That it literally it blows my mind. All of us kids, when I grew up riding, we were talented, but nothing like what I've seen lately. Especially with COVID going on, these kids are riding every day, and they're getting so good. It's incredible.
Do you think that is a trend? I mean, because I've been around, amateur and professional motocross almost my entire life, and I'm blown away by the level of talent that, even the kids around here, like I'm from Maine, right? So our local kids, our local riders, they're even more talented than we were growing up, and we were pretty fast kids growing up.
That's how I see it too. We had a group of us local Missouri kids. Jimmy was kind of the exception. He was always a little better and faster than all of us, but we had a really good rider base. When I was a teenager in 99, 2000, all the way probably to 04, and the kids I see now do stuff that I'm just like, we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Like, we would not have done that, and they're doing it on a smaller bike. And I don't know if it's the COVID thing that, keeps them riding all the time. I know there's training facilities are definitely a lot more of a thing now than they were when I was a kid. But, I mean, these little dudes coming up through the ranks are very talented.
And you guys are right in the middle of it. You're in Missouri, so that you are in. It's not Southern California and it's not Florida, but you're in a motocross hub. Is now you growing up around the Albertsons and around like the Renard area, like Renard facility, are you guys like a training facility family, or are you more like just kind of just getting to tracks and riding with the local talent?
We honestly do both. We've never really stuck to one series. We've ran Oklahoma State Series. We've ran some of the Missouri State Series. We've done some arena cross. As far as the training thing goes, what I tell people, I get asked that a lot, and I tell people we train more than most, but not as much as some.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's kids that, literally live at facilities. My kids go to public school. But, I mean, we try to step out for a week at least before any national and try to train and kind of get things back in order and ready to, kind of give them their best shot at doing the best they can when they get to the race. It's something that I believe in, that when I was racing as a kid, I wish I could have been able to do that. I felt like if I would have been on the bike more before a big race, results probably would have been better.
Yeah. And we talk about that a lot, just in our group, is like the things we're able to do for our kids now with bikes and protective gear and the time on the bike that we're able to spend. We just didn't get that growing up. There was a lot of money was a big thing, and time, and our parents had to work all the time, and I think COVID has helped a little bit too with allowing parents to work from home a little bit more and be a little bit more able to do that. And that's cool to hear. That's an interest. There's a million different ways to do this. That's how I say it. And
you're exactly right.
Well, let's get into this because obviously current event show. Let's talk about current events. KTM Junior Challenge. You've been there a couple of times. The most recent one, you got some stories to tell, man. First off, fastest qualifier in practice, am I right?
Yep.
And then go out and take the win, I believe, because they don't live stream the race. I'm only going off what I've heard in the lap times that I was watching. Start to finish, right? Whole shot to finish?
Yeah.
And then comes across the line, jumps off the bike, starts dancing. it was really, besides the Vince Freeze incident that night, it was kind of the talk of the night because there's a lot of people out there. Everybody, got to Steve Mathis first because his whole thing growing up as a mechanic is he hates throwing the bike down.
Oh yeah, and I heard all about it.
Which is such a mechanic thing, right? So
Right, yeah.
so first off, tell me about how it happened. Take me through. He crosses the finish line. You must have been on cloud 9. How did it go?
If you ever get to meet Gavin, you'll know that you have absolutely no idea what that kid's going to do at any given time. Even as simple as riding in the car, he'll just start something that you wonder where that came from. We had no idea he was going to do a dance. He, like a week before going there, had said something like, I want to do like where I wave to the crowd after I go over the finish line. The whole dancing thing that he did, I mean, that was completely made up by him, 100%. And me and my wife talked about it. We laughed about it all night long. It was one of those things, and that's him. I mean, that's 100% his heart. That's who he is, and he doesn't mean to be arrogant. That's the kind of kid he is. He's goofy.
Well, and from my point of view, not that you're asking for my opinion on the situation at all, but from my point of view, this sport needs all different types of characters, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like, everybody's so mad at Vince Freeze for this weekend, but if that didn't happen, what would we be talking about?
We'd be talking about what happened the weekend before with Roxon and Anderson again.
Exactly. And, to hear that Gavin has that personality is really cool. Because when these kids have their helmet on and they're in staging and they're at these big races, you don't always get to see that, right? You don't always get to see the personality.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
The kid goes over the finish line in front of, 30,000 fans?
Something like that, yeah.
And we get to see who Gavin is, right?
Right, yeah. That's kind of how we put it. He wasn't necessarily doing that to show off. He was literally waving to his friends like that. He thinks that everybody, in the moto world's kind of all the same. I mean, and they are to him. When he goes to races, he treats everybody the same, and the moto community, I think, treats everybody the same, and we're all good to each other. So that's the only way he's ever known it.
And the hard part about it is that, and it's a big theme on our show, is that now we're taking an 8-year-old and putting him on a stage that is built for an adult, right? That's an adult situation. To win in front of 30,000 people and on live TV, some adults can't handle that, right?
Right. I don't know that I could.
So now he's under this adult scrutiny from all these keyboard warriors that don't realize there's an 8-year-old kid and a family on the other side of the keyboard, right? On the other side of that social media post, there's just this 8-year-old kid that loves to ride dirt bikes.
That's exactly it.
And Gavin is smart enough to know to never cross the track on a live track, right? But Gavin just won in front of 30,000 people. He's not thinking about that.
We've talked to him about that. Like, obviously, he didn't mean for his bike to roll as far as it did, and if it would have fallen right when he got off of it, like he told us he planned, it wouldn't have been in the track. That thing, like, literally kind of took off on its own, and then ended up almost in the middle of the track, and I will say, right where it was at was where both lanes of the start come down. There was tons of room to go around it. It's still unacceptable. It's still one of those things that's like, oh, buddy, I mean, out of anything you did, that's the only thing I would change. I just wouldn't have the bike in the middle of the track.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's 8. He made a mistake. It's
and
the end of the world, and it's been addressed. He knows,
and again, he didn't. These kids are so smart at such a young age. He did not mean to do that, and I know from experience being around these kids, he did not mean to put anybody in harm's way. Right? He was just. I couldn't imagine even being there and being in that element, and feeling that energy. Like you become disoriented, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's how I was standing there watching it. So I don't know how he kept it together so well.
and then you've got the guys that are saying, why did he set the bike down, or why did the bike ride away from him? Well, listen, everybody, it's a part of our culture. Chase Sexton did it. Hunter Lawrence did it. Like, it is a part of our culture, and those are two of the most clean-cut guys in our sport. So if they're doing that, like, what are these kids? These kids see that, right? So what do you expect Gavin to do? Like, I mean...
Well, it's funny you say that. 2 days after the race, Jet Lawrence reached out to us, and he wants to do a jersey swap with Gavin and meet with him. And he wants to get some dance moves from Gavin. So, I mean, it's one of those things. It's all in fun.
And Kyle, if Gavin had put himself out there like he did, do you think Jet would have called?
Absolutely not.
No. Everything happens for a reason, you know?
I kind of believe that too. He's kind of writing his own story.
So I have this theory, because I don't know if you know any of my past, but I grew up around motocross. When I got hurt and couldn't race anymore, I started filming motocross, started working with Verb, Racer X, NBC Sports, you know. So I'm kind of a storyteller, right? So to me, on this night, because I've been around Anderson Waddell a lot, I know who he is as a rider, and I know his personality. And then not get to meet Gavin yet, but to see him and hear how he is, I almost feel like these two could grow up with a little bit of a J-Law Dungey vibe.
It's not just Waddell. There's a few of them. They're very competitive kids. I mean, I've seen some of the kids he's raced with. You know, they're young, but they'll go head to head. And I mean, when they get off the track, they'll be so upset because one got second and one got third. You know, I mean, just absolutely heartbroken. And I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, we're on 50s and 65s here. Yeah. This is the beginning. But there's some really good competitors out there, and we're happy to be able to race them. And you know, Gavin calls all of them his friend, and we're but I see what you're saying. There could definitely be down the road.
And that's why these personalities are so important, because what a racer doesn't realize growing up is that when you go to this professional level of racing, right? You go to Supercross or motocross, the really successful riders are the ones that are marketable, right? And the ones that have some sort of something that sets them apart. You got a phone call or a text from Jet Lawrence. Like, that's something that is now setting you apart from the competition as a marketable family, you know?
Right.
So what's the plan from here? Obviously you got two boys that are hyper competitive. What's the spring look like for you guys?
We're actually gonna hit it pretty hard. So last year we had some mechanical issues on the 50 that was the reason he didn't get to go into Loretta Lynn's. This year he's pretty fired up and ready to go. Well, I shouldn't say he went to Loretta's on the 65 last year. He did get in on that, but this year we're going to go for, you know, all the glory in the 50 class, and then try to just try to do as well as we can. And we'll be at every race. We'll be at the Spring Nationals at Freestone, and then Springading, and then, you know, on to Loretta's and Ponca Minios, that type of deal.
Well, that's really cool. It was awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for coming to talk about your night.
Thanks for having me.
You know, one more question is, just tell me about the KTM Junior Challenge. Has it changed at all from the kind of 3 years difference that you've had?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. They've obviously went from gas bikes to electric. My oldest son, he raced the gas bikes, so I know what I know what kind of headache that used to be for them. The e-bikes, I think, is brilliant for that kind of venue. They're gentle bikes. They do rip. They do, they're a good all-terrain bike for something like that, for all levels of riders. KTM puts on a class act. They literally give you, Troy Lee, he sends up gear, he sends up helmets, 100% does the goggles. You've got kids, that don't have a matching set of gear because they don't care that it doesn't match. And for the day, they absolutely get to look just like Marvin Moose can. They took us around to everything, all the big rigs, let us meet all the guys. That part is the same, and it is great. And I feel like it's heading in back to the right direction. I know the years before my oldest did it, you had Vincent Way, and you had several really fast kids that really looked forward to this. And it wasn't so much of a, hey, I get to go look like a pro for a day. It was, hey, I'm going to go try to win this thing. And I think it's going to get back to that. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And it's something I would love to do with my son. It just seems like such a cool event. And I'm pretty lucky with my son where he's not at that hyper competitive level yet. He's a solid rider, has a lot of fun. Love going to the big events. We haven't made it to Loretta's yet. We're hoping to do that this year. But it just to me seems like this really, really awesome event for the kids. Once in a lifetime thing,
It really is, and it's something you'll remember forever. It was $310, I think, to do it.
Yeah.
And that is so worth it that I can't express enough how. You leave there with a helmet that costs more than that. So you definitely get your money's worth for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Enjoy the rest of your beer.
All right, you too. Take care.
And our next guest, the father of Anderson Waddell, Mark Waddell. Mark, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So was this your first experience with the KTM Junior Challenge?
Nope. Yeah, that was totally my first time. I've heard stuff about it, but that was my first time actually experiencing it, being anywhere close to it or anything like that. So
very cool. And, I've talked to you a few times, friends with you on social media, and I see the photos of you riding. I gotta ask, are you fast?
I can still go okay. I don't nearly race as much as I used to, but I'll still get out there and ride here and there. So
well, from the photos, you look pretty fast. I'm gonna hold off on trying to line up with you anytime soon. So Anderson's a really fun rider to watch ride. I've noticed him, at the races that we've been at. He's fast, yeah, but really I pay attention to a rider's style. And with Anderson, he has this really unique riding style. He's upright, back straight, but very quiet on the bike, very unique rider, and just very sound as a rider. Now, did he get a lot of those kind of traits from you? Did you work with him on those things, or is that something that just kind of came natural?
Man, I don't. I think it just kind of came natural to him, or comes natural to him. We don't do a ton of. I haven't done a ton of like posture or style or technique. It's just always been pretty good from when he started riding, and it's just always really been okay. There's still a few things we do work on, but it's overall it's been pretty good from day one. I just got lucky that way, I guess. So, or he just got lucky that way, I should say. So
that's really cool to hear. We work a lot with our son on technique and body position and all those things, because I want him to be safe. It must be a cool feeling for you, just being confident in his skill on the bike at such a young age.
Yeah, I never get nervous too much, and he's always usually doing the right thing or picking the right line, and he's pretty good about that. So,
all right, well, let's get into this. The KTM Junior Challenge is such a cool opportunity for these little guys. What's the day like?
Man, it was a cool day, but it was long. We got there I guess it was a Triple Crown format. It's a little bit different and a little bit of a longer day, but we got there at, I say, 8:15 in the morning, and we walked out of the stadium at night, and I think it was 10:45 or something like that. So it was a long day, but it was a fun day for sure. So, but we got there at 8:15, got everything ready, and got the gear, got everything, did a riders meeting, did track walk, which was really cool. And then just hung out until about 2:00 or 2:20 when we finally got to ride for the first time. So, but it was fun.
So tell me about the day. When I saw Anderson's name pop up on live timing, I thought for sure he'd be a front runner all night. And he was up there, but wasn't the fastest qualifier. And then, ended up on the podium, but didn't get the win. Was there something about the environment? Was there something about the race that kind of rattled Anderson?
No, I mean, he was fine. It was just, just go out there and ride. And you can't, they're the e-bikes, and you can't really jump anything. So I asked him if he was having fun, because to me it didn't look fun. Just roll, turn, roll. But he was having a blast.
Yeah.
And, he just went out there and just rode and just, they all picked it up from the first practice to the second practice. And he was normal. He was fine. So he said the bike felt a little bit different, but overall he could pretty much get on anything and ride it. So it was just really like a normal day for him.
So what was the level of pressure on you guys and on Anderson going into the race? Did it feel like a heavy pressure environment, or did you try to kind of make it more light and more of an experience?
That's exactly how kind of we went. And for most of the races, we try not to do, too much. But I was like, this race, really, it's a one-off thing. We're just here for fun. We wanted to go to Arizona because it was a cool one. We've never been out there. We were trying to go to someplace we've never been before. So it was more just, let's hang out, good weather, good stadium, good area. We could walk from the hotel to the track. Everything was pretty cool, and just no pressure, just go out there and have fun. And I said, it'd be cool. Like, let's just get on the podium, because it's like a way cooler experience to be on the podium. So,
yeah.
So that's the goal. Let's get top 3 and just have a good time. So,
and what's the feeling under the tent? Is it, is there a lot of anxiety? Is it high pace, or is it a little bit more laid back? Is it a little bit more relaxed feeling under the tent, in the pits, and around the crew?
No, it's more laid back. Like they kind of, said, just have fun. They kept saying the number one goal is to have fun and be safe, and they didn't really. It's a race, but not a race. It's more of an exhibition type deal, I guess. It's kind of the vibe, and most of the parents would talk and everything, and it was just pretty chill and laid back, And really, to be eligible to do it, you just got to be 7 or 8, and I don't even think you have to race. It's just 7 or 8-year-olds, and it can be you just send in a video, and I think good school, and meet the requirements for height and weight and all that, and you could be selected. So I want to say that they said something, I could be totally off on this, but I want to say one of the ladies said around 4,000 entries a year, something come through there.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Now, is there any pressure from KTM for you guys to do this, where Anderson's a KTM Orange Brigade rider, or did you kind of go out and do this on your own?
Nope, it was totally on our own. Yeah, we still had to fill out the application, do everything just the normal way, and and I requested to do something out west that we'd never been, but it was still, it didn't matter to them if we did it or not, really. So
awesome.
Where Anderson is the rider that he is, national championships, one of KTM's riders. Are there any families or kids out there that kind of put a target on his back?
I don't know if I'd say if I feel like there's any families or kids like that. I mean, I have heard sometimes someone said, we finally beat them or whatever, and more not so kids, more some dads, really, but not really. I would say most of the time everybody's pretty cool and pretty nice and all that. So,
well, let's talk about the race. Obviously a long day. You guys are racing at the end of the day. They did the same thing to you guys at Loretta's, racing you guys at the end of the day. What was that like?
It was okay. On race day, we tried to chill as much as we could and all that. And, Yeah, I mean, we're pretty strict with like sleep. Like, kids, it's 8:30 here right now, and the kids just went to bed. So Anderson usually he's in bed 8 o'clock, 8:30 at the latest or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, racing at I don't know what it was 6 o'clock or 6:30, which is like 7 o'clock, 7:30. That's late. That's late in the day, and then trying to find a time to eat before. Do you eat after? That's tough for sure. And not to mention the sun is terrible at that time of day also.
So the main event at Glendale, KTM Junior Challenge. Tell me about the race, start to finish. How did it go?
The main event, it's quick. It's go. They line you up. You don't get to pick your gate. That was kind of a first for me. Like there's 15 riders and there's bike number 1, 2, 3, 4, all through 15, and that's how they line you up on the gate. So like Anderson always likes to start on the inside. He's just an inside guy, and we were bike 14. We were as far to the outside as possible, and he was stressing out about that all day long. But I'm like, you're fine, man. It doesn't really matter. So, I mean, gate drops. He come in, he crushed the start. It was a good one, but he was all the way on the outside. There's not much you can do because that tunnel was in the middle. So it was even farther outside with the tunnel splitting the gates. So, but he did great and he came out third and then just, kind of followed the leader around there. And, but overall, I mean, it was a 3-lap race. He did try to pass for second on the beginning of the third lap, I think it was, and he slid out right behind the boy Deegan that got second. So they were going at it pretty good. Oh. And he tried to cut underneath them and slid out, grabbed a handful of throttle, slid out, and then that was the end of that. So, but overall, he had a blast. He said he wants to do it every weekend. I said, I'm not doing that every weekend. So it was way too long of a weekend, but he would do it every weekend. He said he just liked racing in that stadium. So.
How did he feel in front of all those that crowd, that atmosphere? How did he like that?
I think that's what he liked. He said, I said, what was your favorite part? And he just said racing in that stadium with the big crowd. And then he said when he slid out, he said I could hear the crowd cheering when I fell. So
it's got to be a lot, in front of that crowd, and obviously at the end, the incident with Gavin. I wouldn't even call it an incident. The finish celebration of Gavin McCoy was the talk of the weekend, really. How did you see it from your eyes?
Yeah, and I don't know how I missed it, but I guess I was watching Anderson and come across, and I missed it, and then I just heard the crowd going crazy, and then I look, and at that point in time, I just saw the guy pushing the bike off and the KTM guy grabbing him. But I didn't see the bike. I didn't see any of that. But Anderson said he saw it, and he thought he crashed. So he wasn't sure. He thought he was crashed over there or whatever. He wasn't sure what was going on. But I totally missed the whole thing until the crowd started screaming, and then I saw from then on out. But I missed the beginning of it altogether.
Was there any talk of it on the podium? Did anybody say anything?
No, it was kind of crazy. No one said a word on the podium. No one said a word back there. Nothing at all until you get back and it's all over social media.
Yeah, yeah. So after you got home, saw the video, saw, everything that had gone on, what was your opinion on it? Is Gavin like that? You guys have been around him at the track and around his family. Is that kind of who he is?
I'm not sure, and we've been in staging with him too, but we've never really talked to him a whole lot, and so I'm not really sure. Most of the time we're in staging, Anderson's usually pretty quiet. He just kind of sits on his bike and he's pretty quiet, and we've never really talked to Gavin per se, so I'm not really sure exactly what he's like. So we've raced him just in the Texas stuff and Freestone, Minios, Ponca there, but like I said, we've never talked to him too much, so I can't tell you that. So,
well, from what I was told, a lot of good things came from it. Showing his personality like that, things are starting to happen for Gavin that is really cool. Getting to meet some really cool riders and have some opportunities open up to him. So. Just it was something interesting in the sport and something we're going to be able to talk about for a long time to come, and hopefully with Anderson and Gavin, they grow up to race together and and have more conversation starters, I could say. So what's your plan for 2022? What do you guys got coming up?
Well, we'll start here, and I guess it's 3 or so weeks now. We'll go to Daytona, then we'll go out to Texas for the Spring Nationals, and then do Loretta's, and kind of go from there. 50 and riding the 65 now, and he's riding 65 pretty good. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be pretty awesome if we can do 50 and 65 at Loretta's. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Anything we didn't hit? Anything you want to talk about?
Man, no, I don't think so. That KTM challenge was an awesome experience. Anderson loved it, and that's kind of what it's all about. We had a great time out there. They treat you really good. The whole crew, I think there was 9 or 10 of them between all the Jennifer that runs it, and then everybody else, all the mechanics and everything. They put on a good event, and there's a bunch of them there to help and all that. I bet there's not one person that didn't have a good time, So it was a fun event and all that. And if anybody gets the chance to do it, I would strongly recommend to do it if you get the chance, because it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity or experience also. So.
Well, thank you, Mark, very much for coming on the show. And thank you to Kyle for coming on the show. Hey, current events, Moto Dad Podcast. You know the deal. We don't run sponsors. We don't have commercials and all that. If you like the show, share the show. Until next time.